All right, welcome everyone to my stream. It is time, so we're going to get started. Today we're going to work on gokrazy, which is a project of mine that is a pure Go userland for your Raspberry Pi 3 appliances is the tagline. So in other words, this means that if you have a Go program and you want to run it on a Raspberry Pi, you no longer need to install a full Linux distribution onto it. You can just use gokrazy, which is sort of a minimal environment that allows you to build an appliance, meaning just the bare bones that you need plus whatever your application is. So last time on stream, what we did was we started working on the Raspberry Pi 4 support, which is largely actually well underway. So let me switch over to the issue here. I actually filed this issue in June 2019 when the Raspberry Pi 4 was released, and then I used this to track progress of everything that I needed to make it officially supported. And the last time we started working on Eeprom updates, and we actually got most of the tooling done, I think, but then when we actually wanted to deploy it onto GitHub Actions, GitHub had an outage at that very moment. So we couldn't continue, and that's where we sort of stopped. One more thing that came to my mind in the meantime is that we also need to skip updates of the Eeprom when the Eeprom is already up to date, just so that we don't wear out the Eeprom with extra writes that we could have saved. So these are going to be the two things for today. We're going to focus on continuing the work on the Eeprom updater and then also implementing skipping the updates ideally. If we actually manage to get it done, we're going to update the issue template for the supported platforms and also the website, and then we can actually announce that the Raspberry Pi is fully supported. If you have any questions, please let me know in the chat. If you're not participating in the chat but you're viewing the stream, please consider joining the chat. It's a lot of fun. There are a couple of new commands that I've added to the chat. There's this cool Nightbot chat that you can add. So now there is !gokrazy will send you the URL for the website. There's a couple of others like these, ! YouTube will send you to my YouTube recordings of previous streams and where also this one will be posted. And I'm sure you'll figure it out as we go along. So if you have any questions or if you want to nudge me to go into any particular direction or explain anything specifically, please just let me know in the chat. So what I'm first going to show you is sort of the development environment that we're going to work with today. So I have 3 workspaces here that we're going to use. The second one you've already seen, that's my browser. The first one is going to be Emacs, and the third one is a screen instance, which we use as a terminal emulator to get the serial console of the Raspberry Pi, so that we can watch it, do its updates, and so on. I have actually installed for this particular stream the screen key program. And I've spent some time tweaking it just right. And turns out there is a multi-line mode, which is nice to not make the line too crowded. And there is a mode with which you can show the modifiers in the Emacs format. So there's also a convenient shortcut, which is both of the control keys. And then you guys can actually see on my screen what key combinations I'm typing. So for example, here I'm using meta x and then secure purpose, which is sort of my wrapper function to load a purpose layout. So I'm gonna explain a little bit how all of the Emacs setup works that I use, but only whenever I think it is noteworthy or when I need a little break and I want to focus on something else. But if you have any specific questions for if I did something and you were like, whoa, how did you do this thing? Just let me know and I can repeat it more slowly with the screen key enabled, and then hopefully you can learn from that. You should also add FFC emotes for the authentic Twitch experience. It's not the same without spamming. Okay, yeah, if somebody can help me with that, I'm open for it. Hello, nice of you to be here. Welcome to the chat and the stream. Cool. Okay, so let's do a quick recap of what we did last time. We have this new Raspberry Pi Eeprom directory that we created, in which we have essentially an empty Go package because everything that is a package for gokrazy needs to be a Go package, so we need to satisfy that requirement. But the main thing that we have in here is the Eeprom updater, which is just a little Go program that will download files from GitHub I don't need to like go through it in a lot of detail, but one thing is going to be important, which is the Eeprom reference git hash. So this is sort of the version number, if you will, of the Eeprom firmware that we're gonna take. And the current status is that if we go to Github, gokrazy, Raspberry Pi Eeprom, we have all of the contents already in here. We have the eeprom.go and the update Eeprom. And in this one, we have the version number. And the next step is that we want automation to run. And the automation will detect that there is a more recent version available and will send a pull request to update this reference. And then the automation will also actually build a new image with the new firmware version, run it on actual continuous integration hardware. Once the test has passed, then the new firmware version will go in. What's the Eeprom used for? So if we Google Raspberry Pi 4 Eeprom, hey Matt, nice of you to join us, and hello to all the new viewers. So I was just doing a quick introduction. We're going to work on gokrazy, which is an appliance platform written in Go for the Raspberry Pi. We are doing specifically Raspberry Pi 4 support, and specifically there are Eeprom updates for the Raspberry Pi, which we want to automatically pull in and provide for gokrazy. We do the same thing for the kernel versions, for the Linux kernel, and also for the Raspberry Pi firmware already. It's just the Raspberry Pi 4 has gained an Eeprom, which we also need to update. So this Eeprom was not available on the earlier Raspberry Pis, and as you can see here in the documentation, it contains the code to boot up the system and does replace the bootcode.bin, which was previously loaded from the SD card. And if there is a bootcode.bin in the SD card on the Pi 4, it's actually ignored. You can read more as to what the advantages are, but I think in the long run, it's going to be necessary for this Eeprom to be up to date for all of the features to be supported. You can see there is a paragraph talking about USB boot, network boot, etc. So that's why we're doing this. I was just saying that the last time on stream where we stopped was we had all of this code now pushed to the repository, but GitHub Actions actually had an outage, so we couldn't continue. Now this is working again. So actually, I have like pushed the commit again that we had 2 days ago in the last stream, and now we can actually really continue where we left off. So what we see here is the GitHub Actions dashboard, so to say. There are a couple of things that we've defined in this job. Let me just open it up here. .github workflows. So let me see. I think I neglected to pull this repository, and I'm not entirely sure. Yeah, okay. I think at this point, if I check this out, because I actually did a force push, so I think we are, we can see that origin master is here. So that means that our working copy is actually further ahead. This is because I actually force pushed this older commit before we had all of these weird commits that were just trying to make GitHub Actions work before we realized that it had an outage and it wasn't our fault that it didn't work. So one easy thing that we can do is we can just locate this commit here and say, I have an alias for this. The longer form would be git reset --hard. And then our working copy should be here. Yeah, if we do a git status, everything is clean, nice. If we refresh this, we can see it reflected in Maggot as well. Cool, so now let's actually pull up the GitHub workflow that we have. We can see here it's a YAML file that defines the different things, like on which operating system our CI should run and the different steps that it should execute. So the first step is to set up Go. If we look at the browser, there's actually a setup job action that GitHub does first. You can see in here like the specific details about the operating system that we're running on, and that is fetching like a couple of other actions. So we have the setup Go 1.x, that has worked. If we're curious, we can actually look at the different steps. It took me a little while to figure this out. Like the character in front of a 1.14 here means that 1.14 and any more recent minor releases. So if there is going to be a Go 1.14.3, which there is, that's what it downloads. And this was a little bit unclear to me from the GitHub Actions documentation. Maybe it's something that Semver people are more familiar with, but I hadn't seen this before. Can I have your GitHub template? What template do you mean? Can you clarify? So then it checks out the code. So far, so good. Ensure all files were formatted as per gofmt. This is one of the steps that I'm doing. Oh, the GitHub Actions template, sure. Yeah, you can actually find it here at this URL, right? So we're gonna develop it together, right? Currently, I only have a couple of steps in here. I don't think it's super useful. Let me point you to another repository that I did recently where I added GitHub Actions. This might be a little more useful, but also, yeah, so you can see a couple more typical actions here. So for example, the get dependencies, and then I'm gonna run go vet. People would probably plug in static check here as well. I'm just not in the habit of using it, but I probably should. And then where I sort of go off into the weeds is I use Docker on continuous integration so that I have a reproducible environment and an environment that is not tied so much to the continuous integration. You don't necessarily need to do this, but it's just a thing that I like to do. I have actually also blogged about this. There is a !blog command in the chat if you want to have the URL to my blog. There is a post about Docker on Travis. The lessons that I'm describing here apply equally to GitHub Actions or any other CI system. Cool, yeah, that works. What project are you working on? We're working on gokrazy. Yeah, somebody in the chat posted the link. Just read up on it. I just did an explanation, so I feel like we should probably get started to not bore the others too much, but there's going to be a recording as well on the YouTube. Okay, then we have the get dependencies step. There's not much happening here. The thing that we run here actually is not getting the dependencies off the repository, but we're just actually getting the auto update tool that lives in a separate repository. And then that is the step where we're going to work on. We actually run the gokrazy pull Eeprom command, and that is what currently fails. So let me remove the cam here for a second so you can see the error message in full. So this says required environment variable Travis repo slug is empty, which kind of makes sense because we're now running on GitHub Actions and no longer on Travis. So we're going to see what the replacement for this is and then update the file, update the program to work. So let's locate the program first. We are in gokrazy auto update command gokrazy pull Eeprom. Actually, sorry, let me do this so that I can switch here to Maggot. I'm going to say fetch from upstream. Nothing new in here. Good. So we are up to date, just to make sure that I haven't missed anything here. Okay, so if we scroll down, we can see that we have a couple of environment variables here. We have the GitHub user, GitHub auth token. These are used for authentication because the infrastructure that we're building here actually interacts with GitHub. So it does things like amend pull requests, merge pull requests automatically for the updates that are coming in. So let's take a look. Travis repo slug, for those of you who are not familiar, let me just pull up the documentation real quick. And then search for repo slug, I suppose. Yeah, so slug is a term for owner name and repo name. I don't actually know where this comes from, so maybe this is like a play on words or some sort of terminology. If somebody knows in the chat, please do let me know. So many links on the blog, I don't see the GitHub Actions. Oh yeah, so if you, sorry. The GitHub Actions one, well, okay, so go GitHub Actions. I think, yeah, this one here. This one is a good introduction, I feel. If somebody could post this into the Twitch chat, please. Because this is like, yeah, this is just the go test, check out the code, install Go. This references like a couple of well-known, well-working GitHub Action building blocks and runs on all the platforms. So depending on what it is that you want to do, this might be a good template. Oh, the Nightbot is acting up. Sorry about this. I don't know how I can fix this. Let me know. You were posting too many links, even though I asked you to do this, so sorry. All right, so the slug that of the repository currently being built. So why don't we pull up the GitHub Actions documentation Let's see environment variables. If there is like a one-to-one translation and we can just use a different one. There is GitHub workflow, GitHub run ID, action actors, repository. So we could use this. Oh yeah, this is owner and repository name. For example, octocat/hello world. So this is a direct replacement for what we were doing. So I'm going to turn on the screen key, and what I'm using here is Control-S, Control-W for search forward, and then search for the next word. So if I just do Control-S, it prompts me to enter the search text. If I do Control-W, it actually completes the next word, so to say. So now I can just go through all of the instances in this program here, right, in this file. So I know that so I know of them all, and now I can confidently replace them all, right? If this would have been used somewhere else, we should have probably also updated that. Certainly I can just use replace string. I can just say Travis repo slug. Meta slash is what autocompletes pretty much everywhere in Emacs. And then we say GitHub repository. Now it has replaced this. So this is the first modification that we're going to make. Gokrazy pull Eeprom runs on GitHub actions, not Travis. Use GitHub repository. Okay, so we're just going to do this. Now we see that it says unmerged into origin master. We're going to do PU for push upstream. And then it has finished. So at this point, if we go to GitHub, gokrazy, auto update, we should see the new commit that we just did. There we go. So now what the CI will do if we restart this run is we'll just do a go get-u. If we look at the output here, we can see that the Go tool is running in module mode. So one thing that we can just do to sort of make this a little bit more smooth, I think, is we can try to prime the module proxy, which I think is going to be used on GitHub Actions by default. So let's see, if we're going to do this, and then we're going to say go get at latest go proxy equals direct. So now this really fetches from GitHub, and this is the pseudo version number that it constructed from our Git revision. If we check the commit, we can see the commit hash from the URL here is actually reflected in that version number. So it downloaded this, and now one thing, so now we see it in our go.mod, right? For those who were in Matt's earlier stream, he rebooted the router just now. DHCP-CD delegated prefix to every interface just fine. Okay, so apparently turning it off and on again was the right choice here. Okay, always, yeah, for sure. We're gonna do a throwaway cache, and then, so I'm not 100% sure if this will work, but let's try it. Okay. So oh yeah, it won't build actually if I just do go get. Yeah, okay. So we'll just try it and see if that was already enough. Going to choose rerun all jobs. Okay. In the meantime, if you have any questions, let me know. It's a pleasant surprise that GitHub Actions is much faster. So if you see that, this just took a couple of seconds to get started. If you compare this to Travis, the usual experience is you need to wait like tens of seconds before you are at the front of the queue and actually get allocated a worker, or before they can spin up their worker. I don't know for sure what takes so long, but it takes a lot longer to get started. Okay, yeah, okay. So this was actually not enough. So what has happened here now is it was doing the go get. It was most likely using the proxy, and then on the proxy, this is still the current version. So we should actually try and pull this through the proxy. Oh yeah, and what I just figured out is if we do this again, and then we do the go get, but we do it through the proxy, but now we can actually specify the full version. I think that should force the proxy to fetch it for us. Yeah, at which point it should actually know about it. And like if we restart this now, I think it should be picked up. Okay, no, this still looks bad actually. That's not great. So one thing we can do if we don't want this to happen is we can just circumvent the proxy entirely. It's probably okay to do this during development. It's probably also okay to just always do it in this particular case, because this is only going to run like once a day from a cron configuration in GitHub Actions. So, you know, there's not much point in caching. Anyway, so get dependencies, get this tool. We're just going to say go proxy equals direct so that we can be sure. Circumvent go module proxy to ensure that this version is picked up during development. We can always revisit this later. All right, pushed it. So this should result in a new GitHub action run. Yeah, we can see it here. If we open this up, need to click on the CI. All right. Yeah, now we can see that it uses the new version number here. So it was indeed the proxy deciding to cache. We could have just waited it out, but I think this is better, gives us quicker feedback. Okay, required environment variable GitHub user is empty. I think that's actually correct, and I think this is because, let me just real quick. I don't think you can see anything in the secret screen, but yeah, I think I can share this. So I have a couple of secrets in here that are going to be environment variables. And the one that we're looking for is actually called gh_user and not GitHub_user. It used to be called GitHub user when I was still working on Travis. But on GitHub Actions, they have actually reserved anything that starts with GitHub. So that's why we can't use this secret name. Let's see, this should be a simple modification here as well. So we're going to do the same technique as previously. Replace string with the GitHub user to GH user. And then the GitHub auth token and the GH auth token is the same thing here. Replace string, GitHub auth token, GH auth token. Okay. Full Eeprom fix environment variables for secrets. All right. Let's push this and see how it goes. So this is sort of the lengthy part of working with the CI system, right? Because you need to push and then you need to check and you need to wait. Oh yeah, sorry. So this was a push to the auto update repository. So now we need to rerun this job. This time it should directly pick up the new version because we're circumventing the proxy. So let's see if that works. And then let's see what the next error message is. And this stage here where we're just waiting for the CI, this is exactly what I want to avoid with using Docker in the CI, right? I'm not doing it here, but in other situations is like, for example, for the i3 window manager, I have recently worked on changing it to use the Mason build system instead of auto tools, because Mason is much nicer to work with and it is also faster actually. And to do this, I also had to update the CI obviously because the CI also builds packages. Let's see. Oh, GitHub user is empty. Interesting. Yeah, I also had to touch the CI, and in i3 I have the Docker set up, so I could just run all of these Docker commands locally until they pass, and I needed at least probably 20 tries or so, and then I pushed it once to the CI, and there it behaved in exactly the same way as locally. So that's a huge time saver. All right, so GitHub user was not correct, so maybe I did get it wrong from secrets after all. No, GH user should be here. So maybe I'm not understanding something here, right? So maybe we need to actually put things into the environment from the secrets. I think I read something about this in the documentation. Let's pull this up and walk through it together. I think there is using variables and secrets in your workflow. Okay. So creating and storing encrypted secrets, I have already prepared this. Then using environment variables. GitHub sets default environment variables for each GitHub Actions workflow to run. Okay. You can also set custom ones in your workflow file. Okay. So let's see. This is how we would do it. This is how we would set them. And then I think there is some sort of template syntax to put in a secret. It's not well described here. Let's see if it's better in the other article. Creating encrypted secrets, I've done this. Okay, yeah, so this is what I was looking for. Oh, set the secret as an input. So I suppose the with syntax is actually for setting environment variables. Oh, wait, there's env and there's with. Oh, as an input or as an environment variable. Oh, so I guess with would be like standard input. So what we want is the environment variable. And then we're gonna plug this into our CI definition here. So don't need this. What we do want is GH user. And here, so okay, so let me use CX3 to do a side-by-side split. And then I used meta and arrow right to actually go to the other window. CXB brings up the buffer menu, so now I can choose a different buffer. What I want to do here is the pull Eeprom, where we have all of these environment variables that need to be set. So we can just go through them one by one. One thing I like to do is actually, if I have a list of things to do, I just like to paste them from one buffer to the other. So I don't need to copy and paste each and every one, but I do effectively copy and paste all of them. So I can't make silly mistakes in that process. And then what I will do is typically reformat them, replace string, like remove the end, and then do a string insert rectangle. This should be 2, 4, 6, 8. Yeah. Okay. And so now we can just go through them. GH user secrets.supersecret. Okay, so what is that actually? Super secret. That's probably the name of the secret that they added here. But they're not mentioning it anywhere though. Yeah, I think there are things to improve about this documentation. But yeah, I suppose, you know, secrets is the context from the GitHub action, and super secrets is your GH_user. Yeah, that's what I assumed too. I suppose the all uppercase spelling that I'm sort of used to is not what they're doing by default. So yeah, I think this is how it should look. So this would be GitHub repository, GH auth token. Okay, and then we say cron.yaml make secrets available as environment variables. All right, push this to upstream. All right, thanks for the help in the chat. Let's take a look. Just go to the latest commit and check out the CI status. All right, so something's still not right. It still complains about this environment variable. The only env that it got here is go root, it says. That is surprising. Maybe we did like, Oh, I think we added it to an individual step and we can't actually do this. I think it needs to go, no, it says steps colon name. So steps colon name. No, we are at the right level, but then it has env. That should work, right? Is anyone seeing whether I made a mistake here? Huh. So I think there is a GitHub YAML validator. Is it in the wrong step? Oh, yes, you're right. It needs to go into this step. Okay, move and variables to correct step. Thank you. All right, cool. It's always very helpful to have a second pair of eyes. Cool. All right, one thing that you can see here also is I'm using the Go GitHub package. It's a very useful package. If you want to do anything with GitHub, that is your go-to package, and it works very well and has like all of the API in there. So just in case you were wondering about this in the back of your mind, there is good integration with Go for GitHub. Okay, so it has an output now, so that's very good. It says it picked this one as the most recent upstream firmware commit. And then I'm not entirely sure. Let's see, it didn't do, debugging action seems to be pretty painful. I would say this is usual experience for doing anything on CI, like be it on Travis, on any of Circle CI, Source CI, any of the other CI systems, or GitLab. The process is always the same, right? Like the CI behaves in a certain way. You'll need to figure it out step by step. You need to push every step of the way. Yeah, that is just the process. Okay, so this still says the step failed. So I do wonder, I don't really see like an error message in here. I wonder if we could get like only the log from this step without like the inline view. Okay, but it looks like the answer might be no. So let's see, I mean, okay, the last message that we're getting is from pull eeprom.go 81. So pull eeprom.go 81 base tree. And then we have a couple of things that could go wrong, but we can already see that the next log message that we should be getting, so the one that we have is here, and the next one is in new tree. So it doesn't decide to create a new thing, but it also did not print already at latest commit. And I think this is intentional because if I remember correctly, the last time we actually left it off at an intentionally older version so that we could test the CI. So it should actually, let's see, base tree. So either it out here, but then I don't know why it wouldn't print the error message. So maybe we'll need to check that as well. Or in the get blob decode string, or in here where it wouldn't find any matches, but that should also result in an error. Maybe it's actually doing the, no, it's probably not doing the create tree. Okay, so let's see. Update Eeprom, it does pass on the error into log fatal, so we should be seeing this actually. One thing that we can try, just to be sure. Yeah, no, this really seems to be the last message that we're getting out of it, the base tree debug message. I just like copy and pasted this in here to make sure that we're not dealing with a weird like layout resolution kind of thing where we wouldn't see a line because it was cut off or something like that. It can sometimes happen. It's very painful to debug, so better exclude stuff like that from the get-go. Set action step debug in your GitHub secrets store to true. Then you get more debugging information. Tempted to move Corad over, but my needs are quite minimal. Yeah, I think actually for minimal needs, it might also be minimal effort to move over. So I did the Go i3 package, and it only took me, I want to say, maybe 2-3 hours. So the action step debug, I'm not sure if they will actually also leak my secrets. So let's action step debug. Let's double check this real quick. Actions debugging. This does not look like necessarily very official documentation, but it does live in the actions repository, so I suppose it is. Setting the secret. Yep, okay. All actions ran while this secret is enabled will show debug events in the downloaded logs and web logs. Okay, I'm not sure whether we actually need this. I'm not sure what other information it would give us. It would probably give us more details about what GitHub Actions does, but I'm not convinced that GitHub Actions is the thing that is causing the problem here. It will not expose your actual secrets. Okay, well, that's good to know. Also, while they're talking about logs, let me pull this up here. We should maybe be able to actually download the full logs. Oh yeah, download log archive. Interesting. You can tell that I haven't used GitHub Actions much actually, so I'm learning this as we all are. Okay, yeah, I mean, why not? Let's do it. There are organization secrets. Yeah, let's do a new secret. Secret name, action step debug, value true. All right, and then we're gonna just rerun this. Whoops, yeah. As I said, I'm not necessarily convinced this will help, but we can give it a shot and see together what will happen. Oh, yeah, there is already a lot more stuff in here. Cool. We see the tar version that they use. So interesting. Cool. Yeah, so the version numbers and author names are funny in a way. If you've ever booted up like a NetBSD kernel, you will, or a Linux kernel actually, you will see all of these authors saying, oh yeah, this guy from over there, like in 1996, they wrote a network driver. And of course, like nowadays it's not useful at all to know this. Also because the people who worked on it back then are probably not the same people that are still working on it. I made this mistake once where I did get a QNAP network storage device, and the Linux kernel that ran on it didn't support the Wacom LAN setting for the network driver correctly. So I contributed a little patch that did it to the Marvel kernel module, and I added my name as an author in there. And to this day, I get weird questions from people who think I can help them debug any sort of Marvel issues. But I have no idea. Like I don't work for Marvel at all. I just know as little as you do. Cool. So let's see. Base tree. So this is still the last message. One thing that I wanted to try is download the log archive. And also there is a view raw logs. So that also sounds interesting. Base tree is here. Aha. So there is actually, so this is interesting, right? So why did we not see this line in the user interface, right? Did we miss it or is it not there? Oh, no, it's in here. I'm pretty convinced that wasn't there before, right? If we can go back to the older run. I don't know that we can though, actually. Because I think if we go here, yeah, I think by us triggering a rerun, we actually overrode the previous logs. But okay, so let's see. Gokrazy, rpy Eeprom /git/trees 404 not found. Okay, so it could be multiple things, right? It could be that our URL is somehow malformed, though it does look correct from here. Like the gokrazy in here is correct and the rpy-Eeprom is correct. I know that sometimes GitHub gives you a 404 if you try to do something that you don't have permissions for, because they can't necessarily tell you whether you have permission, whether the thing doesn't exist or you're just not allowed to see it. So they must default to, oh yeah, it's 404. Why post though? Yeah, because what this automation is doing is in here, it says that there is a newer upstream commit available. And what it will do is in the Eeprom.go, we see that this is our current reference to the upstream commit. It will try to replace this, and then it will try to send a GitHub pull request for the repository. So that is what we're trying to do, or trying to make the automation do. And it is failing here, saying that so I think it is actually a permission issue, and I think the permission issue is that the secret that I've set, like the authentication that I have set up here for my automation to talk to GitHub, is using a separate account. And in the manage access, let's see if this works. I haven't added any teams or people. Yeah, so I'll need to add the gokrazy bot. Yeah. And oh, this pop-up is tiny. It should actually have write access. So yeah, this might have been it already. Let's give this another shot. Yeah, and then ideally, so if this works, what we expect is the pull requests tab here should show a new pull request. And in there, we should see the change of the revision. Okay. Yeah, nice. So now it succeeded. In here, let's refresh this. Yeah, nice. So here we have the pull request. We can look at the files. Yeah, and we see exactly the change that we were expecting. So now this is sort of doing what other users would be doing by hand, right? If you were to like update the code to pull in a new revision, this is the change that you would need to make. So that is sort of the general guiding principle of all of the automation that I have for the gokrazy project, is that anything it does is what a user should be doing regularly or normally. And then you can debug it as such, right? Yeah, I see I need to set up the emotes apparently. Yeah, if somebody wants to tell me how that works, let me know. Cool, so now the next step here is we can see that there is a check that has failed. And that is the check that we have just, yeah. Oh yeah, oh, here's the log, okay, cool. So this should not actually run for the for a pull request. It should only run for the cron that we haven't yet configured, but for simplicity, we had actually set it up as just a regular CI workflow. So let's see, I think we need to clean up our tabs to begin with. So this we no longer need. Cool. Okay, that's much better. So GitHub Actions cron. Events that trigger workflows. Yeah, that's the cron document, I think. And yeah, so there's a on push, and we can see in our YAML file, we have it currently set to on push and on pull request. So that's why we've seen the run. We don't actually want this one. What we want is not webhook events. Wow, this is a long document. Do they have a scheduled events? Yeah, that's what we want. Okay. So I don't know exactly what the syntax supports. Let's quickly see if it does like a question mark, but it looks like no. So the question mark, I would have expected it to be like a specifier for us saying that we don't care exactly, for example, at which minute the hour it runs, so that GitHub can actually balance these out more, or even at which hour of the day it runs. We just care about this one that runs daily. So I'm gonna say this should be like, say 8 minutes after 3 o'clock every day. Daily, hour and minute don't matter, or maybe chosen arbitrarily. Okay, turn cron.yaml into, or maybe trigger cron.yaml workflow on schedule. All right, so that's the one change that we want to make. The other change is that we actually do need a separate workflow here. And let me pull this up. So gokrazy firmware.travis.yaml. Okay. Oh yeah, so this is the non-cron setup for the pull requests. And then the other one that we had was in a separate branch for Travis. We don't need this for GitHub Actions. We can just have everything in the master branch, which is a little bit more convenient. So the next thing that we will need to do is essentially port all of this Travis logic over to GitHub Actions, and we're going to do it in a separate file. So for this, I'm going to use metax dir-add for directory editor. This is convenient to just do C for copy. I'm just going to say cron.yaml. It's going to be pull.yaml, open it up, and then we can edit this here and start from here. Metax rm-rf no preserve root / yeah, for sure. Metax butterfly. There's many things that you can do in Emacs that are fun. I'm going to focus on the ones that are productive today, and that won't delete my root directory. That's what my mind sees with Emacs commands. Yeah, I suppose. So you're moving from Travis to GitHub Actions. That is entirely correct. Yeah. In fact, I'm not so much moving this as I'm setting up a new repository, right? We already have the one for the Linux kernel and for the Raspberry Pi firmware. We're adding the one for the Eeprom. And when we're adding something new, it makes sense to think about whether you want to add it to the old setup and extend it like that, or whether you want to just start using the new setup if you're about to move anyway at some point. So GitHub Actions is much nicer than Travis. I think it runs much faster. The integration looks better. It's a safe bet to assume that in the long run, GitHub Actions is going to be there, and Travis, well, who knows how they fare. I do like Travis. They have helped us for a very long time, like run a lot of open source CI. It's very much appreciated, but I don't know what the specific plans are or how the future is going to play out. All right, so what we're going to do here is put the, let me close this, put this here. Okay, so this is the old Travis. The ensure all files were formatted, we already have this. So let's actually just like plug the rest of the stuff in here. String insert rectangle to copy it out. Actually gonna leave this in here as well. Comment region, because we're gonna copy and paste the environment from secret setting later on. Okay, so let's go through it one by one. The gofund we have done. Then we have a couple different commands. I like to separate them out into logical paragraphs, so to say, so that I can very easily use control down and control up to jump between them. So let's see. This one checks first if the Travis secure environment variables are not true, and then it succeeds. Otherwise, so meaning if the secure environment variables are available, it is going to get the auto update commands and the packer. Then it's going to continue saying it's going to run the gokrazy boot program from the auto update repository, and it's going to contact a continuous integration machinery that I have running at my home under the bootery URL. I can talk some more about this, but I think we're just going to do this in the breaks between waiting for the GitHub Actions. So let's see. So this is doing update firmware files. I believe, yeah, this is the only thing that is not guarded by the secure environment checks here. And this is what should be running for like every push even. So not just pull request, but also push. So I think with GitHub Actions, the model is better to have like different YAML files. So I'm gonna add a push.yaml here. I'm gonna copy this all over. And then I'm just gonna say This can just go in here, I think. Actually, I think that was wrong. I want to actually use spaces here. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think this should be the push. Oh yeah, so we need to change the on syntax here, of course. Actually, we can just take a look at what we have replaced here previously, because that was the default. So we're just going to restore this, but not for pull requests, only for pushes. Schedule goes away. Okay, close this, close this. It is kind of funny. You can see here that these lines are still red. That is because I copied them out of the Maggot buffer. And here it kind of shows that Emacs is just text editor, and you know, if in a buffer you have lines that are colored red, that will just be retained, right? So this is just an artifact, so to say, of how stuff is implemented in Emacs. But for example, if we were to close this file and open it right back up, you can see the lines are now normal. Okay, so this is push. This was the easy part. Now let's do the harder part, where we have all of these secrets as well. Okay, so I'm not sure if there is like a conditional that we can use for GitHub Actions secrets to like skip steps when secrets are not available. If anyone knows, I'd appreciate a hint. Huh. I think there are like conditionals for whether a step should be skipped or not. GitHub Actions step conditional. Maybe we can find it. Yeah. If, and then we have an expression here. Not 100% sure what the expression can be. So let's see if they have any examples or further docs on this. Whew. Well, I suppose we could try phrasing an expression that could be like if it was secrets dot, I think was the object, if secrets dot GitHub user is null, I think, or something like that. We can have a look. GitHub Actions if, yeah, huh. GitHub Actions if secrets null. Maybe somebody else did this already. How can I test if secrets are available? Yeah, perfect. Go to solution. You can only use the env context in the value of the width and name keys, or in steps if conditional. It's not supported to use env in jobs if conditional. Oh, but in the step conditional, it could work. So maybe maybe we were indeed on the right track. You can disable individual steps, putting the secret into a jobs env and then using this. Not equals null, like 0. That I would have expected null here, not 0. That's a bit weird. Yeah, see, this is like a little bit too little typing for my taste. I don't know what really needs to go in here, or you know, too few examples actually. Let's see if we can find a different example. At least we know that we are on the right track. Empty env secrets. Oh yeah. Test, echo, okay, sure. But they're not conditionalizing it. I mean, we can just try and see what happens, right, if we can't find a good example. But especially when I'm dealing with systems like this, where you know there's a YAML file and I have no idea what the syntax is and what the allowed things are, it's often easier to just search for an example. Okay, whatever. So we're gonna go back to the post that looked the most promising, and that was this one. And then we're just going to try it out, see what happens. So this would be if env dot, which ones do we need? I think we're just going to use the same ones that we had before, which are still down here. Okay. Oh, actually, sorry, that's actually not enough. 1, 2, 3. And, okay, so this should be it. And then we look for GitHub user not equals 0. It looks so wrong to me, but I'm willing to give it a try. Okay, and then what we need to do is fetch the... Actually, we can actually combine this into one step, I think, because we can run multiple commands and the environment should be the same for all of them. So we might as well collapse all of these into a single step for now. And I think there's still like quotes around these that I need to remove. Oh yeah, there's like the Travis terminate function here, which immediately aborts the CI run. But I would assume that that should be the same behavior if you just write it like this. Oh no, it would still run the other steps. I don't know if there's like an exit early, like exit the entire run, like not only exit out of this step, but exit out of the whole thing. But also, like, I don't know if it actually runs, like if this one failed, sorry, if this one failed, would it still run the next line? I think it probably shouldn't, but I'm not sure. Okay, and then conditionals in YAML files gives me flashbacks to writing and build files, writing code in XML. Oh my god, yes. Good memories. I suppose everybody has good memories of XML. And then here, like a lot of exit code handling. But I think that's gonna be okay. Yeah, I think this is just what we need. More go-getting, actually. Interesting. So now that I see this written out like this, I noticed that this command already includes that command. So I think we should be able to just gonna add a little to-do here. Remove second go-get redundant. And then we do the gokrazy amend, set label please boot. Ah, right. So one thing that would be interesting to me is whether GitHub Actions environment variables, whether the labels are actually in an environment variable. But I don't think they are. Yeah, because currently we're querying them on our own, and you'll see this in action in just a minute. Okay. So let's remove all of this stuff that we put in there for writing, and then yeah, let's say test boot. It should be not on push, but on pull request, actually. Oops, this is the wrong repository. This is what I was looking for. If only we had some kind of expressive language we could use here. Yeah, it's a shame, right? On pull requests, this is what we want to do. Yeah, okay. Add GitHub action workflows for pull requests and pushes. Pull is now... Wait, this doesn't entirely look correct. I think I modified the wrong file here. Pull, yeah. This is where it should go. Let's amend this and double check. So test boot on pull request. Push should be on push. And the cron is already on a schedule from the previous commit. Yeah, push it to upstream, hope for the best. All right, so one thing that I don't know for sure now is I suppose we will need to actually rebase this pull request because it is currently based on the commit from before we did our GitHub action changes. So in order for a new run to pick up the new changes, I think we'll need to rebase it. And even if not, the rebase will trigger a new run, so that's going to be good no matter what. Okay, so what we can do here is just use the command line instructions to check out. Let's see, this should be the Raspberry Pi Eeprom. Yeah, we can already see the new branch here. We're just going to say git rebase onto master, git push -f origin, and then the branch name. And we have it rebased. You can see that we have the force push here. And now I think in a second, hopefully it should show a GitHub Actions run, or maybe not if we did it wrong, like if we got our definitions wrong. Okay, let's see. What's the issue here? No jobs were on. Oh, invalid workflow file. You have an error in your YAML syntax. Yeah. This looks very obviously like a whitespace related issue. Where here, yeah, this is one tab and it should be spaces. Yay. Oh, actually unstage this and switch back to master. Stage, fix whitespace issue. There are for sure, like in here, we don't see the whitespace issue, which is a bit annoying. I'm sure there's a way to make Emacs do this. I just haven't set it up. It would be cool if it did it by default though. I think for trailing whitespace it already does, so it's a bit surprising that it doesn't do it in this context. So yeah, now it seems to actually want to run again. So this is the push CI, we can have a look at this, but the one we really care about is the pull. So what we're going to do is actually we should be able to go into this one again, do another rebase, do another push, and that way trigger another pull run. Yeah. We already have it open, so we just reload this tab. Oh yeah, nice. So now it's starting to run. Here it said it can't install stuff. Why not? It can't find package dot. Gokrazy update firmware. Oh yeah, this should have been update Eeprom, not update firmware. So this is for a push. Firmware should be Eeprom. Oh, sorry, I made the same mistake. I need to go to the master branch stage. Fix typo. Firmware should be Eeprom. Push. All right. Good. This one failed though, and that is, why is that? Test boot. Okay, cool. Evaluating condition for step. Success. Oh wow, so now the debug stuff has actually paid off, right? We can actually now see the evaluation trace here. That's quite neat. So thanks for nudging me to enable the debug stuff. Yeah, I wouldn't have expected this, so it's nice to see it. So let's see what it does. env.ghuser, okay, it evaluates to a string, then it evaluates number. So the string is not equals the number 0, so that is okay. So that is why it starts. Nice. So this might have been correct after all. Okay, cool. So now, this is the next step that we need to fix. Required environment variable Travis pull request is empty. So this is going to be a little bit harder than just search and replace because the boot.go is actually used by the other repositories as well. So this will need to keep working for Travis and for GitHub Actions. So we need to conditionalize it properly. But yeah, why don't we go back to the auto update. Oh, I don't have the fuzzy find installed here. That's fine. Structure is easy enough. So it's looking for Travis pull request, and yeah, wow, that is a lot of different variables that we'll need to update here. So we have the same GitHub user, GitHub auth token. So at this point, I wonder if it would be easier to also change the Travis definitions to use the GH user secrets. But I don't know. So the thing with the Travis files is that they have this encryption scheme here. So instead of having like a separate settings pane in GitHub, which obviously as a third-party provider Travis can't implement, they have this schema where you have a little command line tool and then you encrypt a variable for a specific repository. And you can see here, in fact, that I had added a comment with the name of the environment variable. So the name is actually part of the encrypted blob here. So if we wanted to update these, I would need to re-encrypt all of them, which is a bit cumbersome. So we're going to see how bad it'll be, but maybe we'll just update these. We already know that if we look at the other file, yeah, so GitHub auth token should become gh auth token, or at least alternatively, right? The repo slug is the GitHub repository. Then we have the pull request branch. We'll need to check what the equivalent is here. Pull request branch. If the current job is a pull request, the name of the branch from which the PR originated. So in our case, this would be the full thing here, pull dash, and then the full Git revision to which we're pulling. Let's have a look at the GitHub Actions environment variables. Yeah. Okay, we're just gonna scroll through these and see if anything jumps out. Repository, workspace, ref might be it. The branch or tag ref that triggered the workflow. For example, refs heads feature branch 1. If neither a branch or tag is available for the event type, the variable will not exist. Huh, so it looks like they won't have the branch name itself available unless it's in something else that is not in this list. If you know, let me know in the chat. But if not, I'm just going to assume that it's going to be GitHub ref, and maybe we're going to need to strip the refs heads feature branch. I wonder if the log that we have here will give us the environment variables that should be set by default, like all of them. That would be actually really handy. One thing we might be able to do is view the raw logs and just search for them. That might be quicker. So GitHub _ repository. Oh no, that was our secret, right? So then GitHub ref, no, it's not in there. I don't think there is a variable for getting the branch directly. Yeah. Okay, yeah, let's do the GitHub ref then. And then there is Travis pull request. The pull request number if the current job is a pull request, or false if it's not a pull request. I think we only use this to verify that it is a pull request, but actually, oh no, it actually gets the pull request number from there. Actually, it actually uses it. What are we plugging this? Oh, for getting the label from it. Interesting. List labels by issue, and for that we need the issue number, and that is where we put in the pull request. Oh, okay. Do we have this information here? We have a run number and run ID. That's not it though. Oh, this might be trickier than I thought. So, okay, so any ideas how we get the pull request for which the action ran? It's not super obvious if this is possible. Automate pull request labels via GitHub Actions. That sounds very related. So how are they doing it? No, wait, this is not what we wanted. What are they doing? Imagine you wanted to add automatic review me label when somebody makes a PR to master. An action named label. Oh, the action would do it for us. Interesting. So we can take a look at how this action is defined, and maybe this gives us a hint as to how we could do ours. So let's go into the source and then the main.typescript. There's a repo token, there's a configuration path. Fetching changed files for PR number, get PR number, definition, github.context.payload.pull request. Nice. So it does exist somewhere. We only need to expose it to our program. What happens if we just Google this? Will we see other examples of people using this? Context.payload.pull request. So this seems to be some, okay, so the actions seem to have a context. I wonder if that context is also available like in the file so that we can just do textual replacement and set an environment variable based on it. Oh, somebody had a similar question. Oh yeah. The pull request event contains the information you're looking for. If you're in JavaScript action, you can use the context. If you're in YAML, then I believe it would be github.payload.pullRequest.head.ref. All right, and they have a link here. Trying to use this, use another package. I don't know. Okay, I think the rest is not very relevant. Oh, and this is relevant. github.event.pullRequest.head.ref. The only way to get to pull request base branch is github.base_ref. Step the prince name. Okay. Huh. Yeah. We're gonna add this to the pull request.yaml just because it's nice for debugging. So I don't know. I don't know if this is really what we need, but why don't we print it? And then we should also print that. Okay, and here, just gonna plug in this. I don't think that's necessary because our action is scoped to pull requests already. Okay, let's push this and see what happens. This is again one of the things where we just need to wait for the CI to run it so that we know exactly what happens in the environment. And I think this is one of the things where we also... Thanks for making i3. Yeah, you're welcome. I'm glad you like it. Where we also need to rebase. Check this out. Rebase onto master. Push. And then check out master again. So we don't need to switch. Cool. All right, nice. Okay, so here are the steps that we wanted to see. Print pull request info, print the name of the base branch. Base branch is master, yeah, okay, so the base branch is not actually what we want. We actually want the branch name of the pull request. So we're gonna have to find a different thing. And then here, what does it say? Oh yeah, that is actually what we want. So the print pull request info, that has printed what we were looking for the branch variable. So boot.go Travis pull request branch. We could actually, like if we wanted to, we could just say Travis pull request branch, right? We could just name this compatible with how it was on Travis. And then the base ref, yeah, we're not interested in that. But one more thing that we wanted was, so this is done, but we needed the pull request number, right? So let's search for how we would do this now that we know that we have a way to get stuff out of the github.event, etc. I wonder if, so I think this is like the same stuff that GitHub sends you via the webhooks. So maybe we'll actually find that sort of documentation. Yeah, webhook event payloads, that is exactly it. So the one that we had is pull request.head.ref, pull request. The pull request itself, so that's probably it. Or maybe not. Huh, no, I think we took a wrong turn here somewhere. Yeah. So I wonder if somebody will give us like a link to the canonical documentation here. The full GitHub event context. Yeah, that is what we wanted. Cool. Information about the workflow run. Yeah, that is what I was looking for earlier. GitHub.event. So what we have is .event.pull request. I wonder in how much detail it'll go. Head ref, base ref, event name. Yeah, so I think we're gonna need to go here and then, oh yeah, that was the long document, pull underscore request. Can we see the fields in here? If somebody's quicker in figuring this out, please just let me know in the chat. Yeah, this documentation is super large. It's very hard to like skim it and find the thing that you need. Pull request.head. Let's see. There's not even a head mentioned here. This is weird. Do we need to like click on a different thing? No, I don't know. I don't know for sure. Okay. Why don't we search for this? Pull request number on GitHub Actions. PR number or branch name. Nice. The GitHub ref value is set to master. And I can't do that anymore to retrieve the PR number. Huh. It should always be available as part of the pull request event payload under number. github.event.pullrequest.number. This sounds consistent with what we have used before, I think. Yeah, we have github.event.pullrequest.head.ref. Yeah, that looks good. So we're just going to say Travis pull request is this. Great. And then the repo slug, yeah. So the others we'll need to translate in code as well. So we're going to do this and then do the other thing and then push it and then rebase it and then hopefully it'll work. Let me know if you have any questions in the meantime. Yeah, I think we're going to need to conditionalize these so that we don't error out so hard here. And yeah, I think the easiest bit is, how are we going to do this? Well, we could just turn all of these into individual checks and then add a big conditional around them. But I think we could also do it a little bit cleaner. So I think the GitHub user, yeah, it's only used here below. So why don't we say GitHub user is os.getEnd GitHub user. If GitHub user is the empty string fallback to gh user. So this is Travis CI, this is GitHub Actions. And then if GitHub user is still empty at this point, then we're going to print the error message. Required environment variable GitHub user or gh user empty. Okay, so that handles this, and then below, switch to GitHub user. Gonna do the same for the auth token, and then for the Travis repo slug, and the others we have made available here for compatibility, so those should be okay. And then let's see if that brings us a step closer. So auth token starts out from GitHub auth token. If it's empty, then we'll set it from gh auth token, and if it's still empty after that, it is missing. GitHub auth token or gh auth token is empty. Okay. So usage is here, auth token, and now we can remove this. Yeah. And then the last one is the repo slug. Oh yeah. So this we already capture. If slug is empty, we will fall back to GitHub repository. Oh, and we're gonna annotate all of these so that there is no uncertainty about which one is used in which context and why they're all here. And when we actually switch all of the repositories from Travis to GitHub Actions, then we can clean this up. Travis repo slug or GitHub repository is empty. Cool. This is good. Let's just double check our changes. One quick thing that we can do is we can just say go install to see that the code type checks and builds, and we don't have any typos, and we do not. So boot, fall back to environment variables on GitHub Actions. Well, to GitHub Actions environment variables, but also support Travis CI until we have moved off of it. Okay. This is the auto update one. So now we can go back into the pull.yaml where this is pull.yaml, make available pull request details in environment. This is in the main repository, so we now need to rebase the branch as well. Check out the pull, rebase onto master, push. I could totally also do this in Maggot, but sometimes I like to use two separate contexts or two separate tools or terminals or whatever to keep things logically separate. But yeah, just a matter of habit. Okay, we have too many tabs open again. We'll do a cleanup right after this starts, I think, I hope. Yeah. Or do we do a mistake again, and then we would see that in here, I think. Yeah. Oh, look, we made the same whitespace error again. So, yeah, I suppose Emacs whitespace. Let's see if this is easy. Whitespace mode toggle on off for current file. Oh yeah. Yeah, so now this is very visible. We can see that here is one tab. We should be having spaces. So now it's good. Yeah, useful. I'll need to keep this in mind. Okay, so fix whitespace again and push it. So this time we could actually do the pull, rebase onto master, push, dash force, upstream. switch back to master. So now we've done the rebase in Maggot. Yeah, just as simple, maybe a little bit faster if you're used to the various Maggot keys. Okay, so now, let's see. So what we expect now is that the boot program actually compiles a full new gokrazy image. So this is something that you could actually then put onto an SD card. But instead of putting it onto an SD card directly, what it will do is it will send it from the continuous integration down to my home. And in there, I'm going to automatically, of course, program it onto a Raspberry Pi and make it boot up again with the new changes that we have in there. In this case, the new Eeprom files. And then if it reports success on the serial console, this run will be considered a success. Required environment variable Travis repo slug is empty. Yeah, did we change this? So wait, did it not use the latest boot? Oh yeah, because here in this command line, we're not disabling the go proxy yet. So that's why the proxy has probably cached this again. So that will be here in the go get. We're going to say go proxy equals direct. We're going to say the same thing here. Even though we're going to clean that up later, circumvent proxy during development. Okay. I suppose at this point for the rebasing it, we could also like use an Emacs macro to make this like entirely automated, but we could also not. This is left as an exercise for the reader, I'm going to say. All right, now it starts up, nice. All right, so now you can actually see that it takes a little bit longer, right? Because it's no longer going through the proxy. So it's hitting all of these repositories directly, and you can immediately see it. It's slower. All right, so now it complained about a missing flag. It's a bit silly that if we have expanded the log here, as soon as the step finishes, it will collapse the step again. So we'll need to expand it again. It's a bit of an annoying UI decision here. So what it says is that the -bootery flag is empty. And I bet that this is okay. So I think I'm gonna turn off the whitespace mode for a second because it's a bit jarring to look at. And that's also going to be the reason why I'm going to make another whitespace mistake later on in the stream. Okay, so the URL, we're using it here, and I bet there's something different about using environment variables in GitHub Actions like this. Like, let's see, the bootery URL. Oh, yeah, because it's not defined at all, right? So we just need to plumb this through. Yep, okay. Secrets.bootery URL. Plumb through URL secret into environment. Cool. This is master. Switch to the other one. Rebase it onto master. Push force upstream. Switch back. Should probably enable the screen key to actually show you the keystrokes. We can do this for the next iteration. Probably it's not going to work either this time. Oh, come on. Do we do another whitespace mistake just now? No, we did. Oh my god. Okay, apparently I'm going to need to leave the whitespace mode on. Yes. Okay, so switch branch, the default suggestion is going to be the pull. Okay. Rebase elsewhere onto master, push dash force upstream. Wait for this to finish pushing, switch back to master. There we are. So these are the keystrokes that I entered. Not a lot of keystrokes for doing a lot of Git. This is where Maggot really comes in handy. So if you haven't noticed yet, I'm a huge Maggot fan. You can check it out. There's like screencasts and documentation. And in fact, I have at least one friend who, at least for a certain time, used Emacs entirely just to use Maggot. So you can configure your Emacs to only start up Maggot if you want to, if you're not an Emacs user. You might still profit from using Maggot. I think it is the best Git user interface that I've used so far. All right, so this is going to take a little while again. I think, as you can see here, it takes so much longer that it's actually worthwhile to re-enable the proxy afterwards once we're done with the development. All right, could you cache the dependencies? Yeah, I suppose. But then I need to figure out how the caching works. And by the time I figured out how the caching works, I would have rather fixed the problem that I came here to fix. So yeah, caching, good idea, but maybe for another time. True, yeah. Okay, required environment variable Travis repo slug is empty. But what we can see already is that now the label fetching actually works, right? Oh, and this is also in the merge.go. So the boot.go, I think, now actually is happy. Merge is here. Yeah, oh, this is very similar code. It's probably worth centralizing this at some point. We could probably actually, why don't we do this? Let's say CIN. Just do, is your screen resolution quite low? Oh no, quite the opposite. I am capturing in 1080p though for Twitch. Why are you asking? So the boot.go, this is where we got all of the stuff. So we're gonna say auth token, just gonna give you a string. I'm gonna make it so that all of these will just return an error immediately, because all of those are gonna be called, actually to signify that, we're gonna give them a name that starts with must, which is the convention that is used in the standard library and elsewhere to annotate that the function will terminate the program if something goes wrong. These are only good to use from funkinit and similar contexts. You'll see that in a second. So must get slug. I asked because of the horizontal scroll bar in your browser. Oh yeah, no, I just have the font size cranked up so that people can read the stream well. That's the only reason why everything might look a little funny. And then must get, yeah. I think we can actually define these as like, must get pull request, branch. These are going to be like a little helper. Okay, so return auth token, return slug. Must get pull request will just be return os.getEnv Travis pull request with an error check. Pull request is empty. You can do the log fatal required environment variable Travis pull request empty. Okay. And this is going to be pull request branch. All right. Cool. So now we can just use these. We can just say auth token is cin.mustget auth token. Let's see. Yeah, it pulled in the right package. Nice. And then GitHub user is Oh, we don't have the GitHub user. We need this as well. Oh, I copied. I forgot to copy this. Must get GitHub user. Okay, return GitHub user. Oh, nice. GitHub user, yeah, must get GitHub user. Bye, Madlayer. Yeah. Thanks for hanging out. See you soon. GitHub user, auth token, slug. Must get slug. Okay, and then these two here. These I'm using directly here, so we're gonna need to change this. Travis pull request. Travis pull request. It's gonna give it a nice long name. The font is a little bit funny. The font that I'm using in my editor, you mean? That's the Go font. I like it a lot. Maybe it doesn't look so well at the screen resolution. I don't know. If it really bothers people, I can change it. But yeah, I like it. Travis pull request. So that would be this one. And then the last one is the branch. Oh, but oh, it looks like we're not actually using that. So we could have saved some time earlier by not figuring this out, but it's fine. Now we have it figured out. We can just remove it from the program though. It's fine, thanks. Yeah, thanks for confirming. Okay, so in the merge, we can now use the new package as well and get all of that same logic for falling back. Yeah, so it pulled in CINF. So now here, slug, we already have it in the context. Yep, still fine, nice, okay. GitHub user, auth token, Travis pull request. And I think that's all of them actually. If we look for getenv, oh yeah, for sure. Here is where we're using the branch. So that's why it wasn't there. So it was not a total waste of time after all. Good. Oh, this should probably be pull request branch. Okay. Travis pull request branch. Okay. We're gonna do the same go install trick from earlier, just to make sure we don't have any typos or type checking issues. And then now we have the new CINF package that we need to stage, and we have the two commands that we updated, both of them to use the new environment variables. Yeah, I think that looks reasonable to me. Gokrazy, boot, merge. This is how 10x engineers works, huh? Never use the mouse. Yeah, I think my trackball went into power save. No, for the things that I do often, I am very used to the keyboard. I don't mind using the mouse so much. I've had a time in my life where I used only keyboard shortcuts, even for the browser, but that was just like way too much. I would spend more time figuring out the correct shortcut than it would have taken to just mouse over there a couple of times. So for some of the things, it's nice to use the keyboard. For some of the things, it's nice to use the mouse. Boot merge, centralize, environment details. Push it, and then I think we can just actually rerun the this action because we haven't changed anything in the YAML definition. Which keyword are you using? Sounds good. Oh yeah, sounds great. I hope it doesn't bother people. CherryBlueMX, that is exactly right. You can put exclamation point setup into the chat and you'll get the URL to my blog post about my current desk setup and the keyboard and all of the details about the modifications that I did for my keyboard. I did a couple of changes to it. One of the changes are, what window manager are you using? You can guess. Yeah, the first change that I did to my keyboard was put in CherryBlueMX key switches because I was used to these. The Kinesis Advantage keyboard, which I use, comes with the brown cherry MXs by default. I don't find them quite as nice, but it might just be my personal preference and that I get used to them. In case people don't know, the window manager question is a little bit funny because most people know me for creating the i3 window manager. For those people who don't know, check it out at i3wm.org. It is a tiling window manager, which means that, for example, here we can do things such as opening multiple panels quite easily. I usually have just a lot of stacked containers like so. For example, here I could do like a top and then could add more terminals and do more things at the same time. For the screencasting setup here, I'm usually in full screen, just one application, because the screen resolution and font combination is so that is well readable, but doesn't give me a lot of maneuver space with regards to i3, so to say. So this is nice. Our log was just empty for a sec. Label please boot, not found on issue 1. Okay, so now let's take a look at the issue and what labels it has. Oh yeah, I think now we're getting into the stage where we need to carefully take a look at the logic. So we don't have any labels right now. The expected sequence of labels, let me show this to you in the other repository over here. So if we go to pull requests and take a look at the auto update that came in yesterday for the firmware, we can see that the first step is the bot sends the pull request. The second step is it adds the please boot label after it has actually compiled the new image. And then and by compile the new image, I mean it has downloaded the new firmware files in this case, sorry. Then it force pushes with the changes of the new firmware. Because now it has the please boot label, the automation recognizes this, it checks for it. Then it will start the boot test, for which we can find the log in this GitHub gist, and then it will add a please merge label and remove the please boot label to sort of move the state machine in our pull request automation one step further along. And then because the force push here triggers a new CI run, that new CI run will actually look at the please merge label, and that will merge the commit. So this is sort of a CI run that needs to run 3 times on the repository, but it's all good once we get the logic right. So this is the boot test. You can see this is just the Linux kernel booting. If you're looking closely at the very beginning of each line, we have a Raspberry Pi 4B or 3, whichever device this is running on. And then the magic line in here is just the success line. And the success line is essentially a unit test, so to say, where it just checks that it came up with the correct MAC address, because I had a regression once where the kernel would actually use a new MAC address on every boot. So that's why I added this as the first test, and I haven't ever needed to add any other tests because there haven't been any other regressions on that level. But maybe this will grow and maybe this will do more elaborate tests at some point. So now that we're talking about this setup, let me also actually show you how this is physically looking. So here you can see an IKEA pegboard, which is typically used to arrange your craft supplies, like your scissors and pens and stuff like that. I use it for my Raspberry Pis. What you can see here is a couple of Raspberry Pis in a row. Well, as much of a row as is possible with the pegboard and the Raspberry Pi form factor. If you look closely, you can see that I just used these cable ties that are you can very easily open them. They're not exactly cable ties. I don't know what the proper English term for it would be. If somebody has a link and want to put it in the chat, that'd be cool. From the left to right, this one here is connected to my scanner. The scanner you can see at the bottom right of the image here a little bit. It's currently closed. You can see that it has an LCD connected to it. On this LCD, if I zoom in, it says scan to Michael. This is a multi-user system. I have this lone key here, which is literally just a Cherry MX key and a keycap connected to a GPIO on this Raspberry Pi. And if I push this key, it will switch the user from me to my girlfriend and vice versa. So if we want to scan a letter that came into the house, we're just going to go to the scanner, open it up, maybe press the key, put the letter in, scan it automatically into our cloud. Then this is the scan to drive Raspberry Pi, and then the next 3 Raspberry Pis are actually part of the continuous integration setup. So this one, I believe, is the Raspberry Pi 3. I'm not sure if it's the B or the B+. I think it might be the B+ because of the shield here over the Wi-Fi chip, which they only added in the newer revisions. So these 2 here are both 3, And then this one is Raspberry Pi 4B, which I added the most recently. And then this here is where the continuous integration actually happens, and also a bunch of my other home automation stuff. So if we zoom in here, you can barely make out that it has like a radio module here on top of its serial port, and it has a Zigbee stick here at the top. And then it is also connected to the serial port to the PC Engine's APU, which is what router 7 runs on for continuous integration, and is connected to this USB hub here, where it is connected to the serial converters for all of the continuous integration Raspberry Pis. So that's where the serial output comes from that you've just seen on the GitHub output. And essentially what we're trying to do is whenever a new Eeprom comes in, we're going to send it to this Raspberry Pi here on the very right. It's going to install it on all of these. It's going to reboot all of them. And if they say via the serial port everything is okay, this one is going to give the green light for merging this pull request. So that's the very high level overview. All right, cool. So let's go back here. Okay, so it says label please boot wasn't found. So I'm thinking this is just a mistake that we made here when we ported the logic over, right? Because we just put this in. So you have 4 Pis to update one. Haha. Yes and no. So I mean, when I started out, I only had 1 Pi and another Pi for the continuous integration, right? Because the gokrazy started out on just the Raspberry Pi 3. Then they released the 3 Plus, and I was like, well, yeah, I mean, the 3 Plus should probably be a supported upgrade. It was easy enough to make it supported, and I added it to the CI. And now I also want to cover the Raspberry Pi 4. So yeah, I also need that in the continuous integration. Because there are actually other users than me of gokrazy, and they would sure appreciate if their hardware is actually covered by continuous integration, I think. So yeah, I'm not doing this just for me. And also keep in mind that I have 2 Raspberry Pis that I run productively, so to say, one for the scanning and one for the home automation stuff. Yeah, also the router is running on the PC Engines one, so that needs to be checked in continuous integration as well. But yeah, for sure. I mean, it is more complicated than it would need to be, so to say. But that is one of the things that comes with running such a project, right? And by running, I mean, being the maintainer, the person who offers it, not the person who uses it. All right, so the test boot here. So what we were running, I think, yeah, so the gokrazy boot, require label please boot, that is clearly not yet present. What we want to do is the set label please boot. So that needs to run first. So let's see. Oh yeah, because it first needs to build this stuff. So we want to do the... as long as it works, yeah, it sure does. We want to do gokrazy boot. Off topic, how do open source maintainers get the money? Well, I have a day job, that certainly helps. There are a couple of interesting approaches for like sustainable open source. In fact, I think there was like changelog podcast, open source. What was it called? I think there was like, was that her name? Funding open source. Oh yeah, that is it. You should check this out. So what is the whole podcast series called? View all episode. The changelog. Yeah, changelog.com/podcast. I recommend this. If you're curious about all things open source and the different funding models, etc., check this out. It's a very good podcast. If someone could put the link in the chat, that would be nice. Changelog.com/podcast. All right. Okay, so we want to go back to the Travis here and see how we did it here. Because it is this whole complicated logic, right? So let's see. We would get the all of the tools and the packer. Excuse me. We would run the boot, but only if that label is already there. I'm not entirely sure how that works. Changelog.com/podcast. Yeah, thank you. Huh. Okay, so maybe we need to like reconstruct this from first principles. Or we just look at actually the traps run, right? Because I had it open, so this traps run. So maybe that also helps with the illustration. I think Nightbot will still give me time if I post the actual link. Yeah, don't risk it, man. Thanks for all the links. So 2 days ago, 1 day ago. Oh, this is the oh yeah, this is what I was looking for. So these are the 2 iterations that we run through. We can just check the output here. So if you haven't seen Travis, this is what Travis looks like in comparison to the GitHub actions. I expect many people have seen Travis. Okay, lots of log output, good for debugging, not so easy to consume maybe. Okay, so let's go through the different commands. We've had the go get, that did run. Oh, it also actually complained about the please boot not found, but, oh, where did it do this? Here. Or Travis terminate. Oh, I'm thinking the please boot not found is actually not a terminal bitrate. Is the bitrate bad? I think everything should be fine. I think, yeah, from what I'm seeing, should be fine. Please boot not found. So I think we got a little bit misled here, maybe? Let's double check. Boot.go 185. Oh no, this is actually, oh yeah, exit with exit code 0 if there's nothing to do. Yeah, it just prints it and then it returns with 0. But here it says process completed with exit code 2. So I think it's time for the raw logs. Boot.go. Oh, and maybe this is because why I had multiple steps in the Travis originally. Huh. Okay, interesting. I don't fully understand it yet. So maybe it's not actually the boot process. I mean, it is what prints the error message, but if that error message is not the cause for it terminating, maybe it's the merge command that terminates. Or it's this go get command, which terminates. Hard to say. Because like, you know, if we look at the log, we can just see that it has all of these commands in just one large command line, right? So it could be any of these that has actually failed. In fact, the merge was the one that we updated, right? Yeah, it is. Oh, the merge actually fails if the label is not present. So maybe that's what's happening. Yeah, because the please merge is not there. So when do we do the merge here? All right, so I think that is why we have this special logic in here that I just entirely ignored previously. So yeah, I think we'll need to actually, we need to actually replicate this here. So we do the gokrazy merge, and then let's see the xcode. If that xcode is 0, then we should terminate the entire run with 0. So I guess we can just do exit 0 here. Oh yeah, because this exits 2 in that. Oh yeah. Okay, I got it. So what we want to do here is filter the exit codes, and if it is exit code 2, then everything should be fine. Otherwise, we're going to exit with the code. In fact, now that I see it like that, we can express this more concisely. So we can just say red equals 2 or exit red. I think that should have the same effect. Handle gokrazy merge exit code 2 and instead of handle, we actually ignore it. Okay. Push this, and then I think we were working on the branch, so we'll need to rebase this onto master, push it upstream, switch back to master. Cool. Let's take the time to clean up a couple of tabs. We've done all of this, that's all done. This run can probably be closed, and here we are. All right. Let's check out what happens now. Seems safe to remove. Entire project explodes in production. Yes, that is how it goes. To be fair, I didn't say it seems safe to remove. I just, I just figured we could try it while we're at it, right? But yeah, you're right. That is how it goes. Cool. Okay, so now we're getting into why shell is the most horrible language. Because now I tried to execute curly brace gokrazy merge as a command, and that doesn't work. How did we have it on Travis? It was apparently actually significant white space. So yeah, we'll need to do this. White space certainly is our arch nemesis tonight. More white space to satisfy the shell gods. All right. Cool, rebase it. Whoops, actually also push it. Cool. And then see what happens now. Should do a white space error counter at this point. Yeah, sure. Why don't you count the white space errors for us? I'm gonna need like a key combination in the future to make it put on the stream and increment it by 1 whenever I hit the key. What happens if 2 builds run at the same time? Yeah, if you had 2 pull requests that were racing, so each well, the 2 pull requests will not race with each other, right? Because the continuous integration that we're building here is actually scoped to the pull request, right? If you remember, we have the environment variables with which we got the correct branch, etc. So we are only operating on the 1 pull request. Okay, wow, I am not lucky with the shell tonight. So line 5, syntax error, unexpected end of file. Why? I mean, I thought this was like, you know, not too complicated in terms of shell. Let's simulate this. How do we simulate it? Why don't we say true? Whoa, whoa, wow, yeah, sorry. Shell-c -x, unexpected end of file. Yeah, okay, at least it's reproducible. So what did we do wrong here? If we really dumb it down, this works, right? This still works. Now, if red equals to or, let's say false, this is already wrong. Why? Do we need like the full conditionals? No. Oh, we need the trailing semicolon, that is it. And yeah, we're liking it here. Trailing semicolon. Okay. Okay, rebase push. Switch back. Did this answer your question about the two builds at the same time, by the way? Or did you mean something else? Nah? Okay, what do you mean? Oh, did you mean like on the CI side, if like the updates would conflict with each other when they're actually like written onto the Raspberry Pi? Yeah, okay, cool, yeah. There is no protection against this right now. The update rate is like, I mean, you can see that these are running triggered from cron, right? So it happens once a day. If we're lucky, there's a kernel update. If we're extra lucky, there's also a firmware update the same day. And then, you know, over the course of 24 hours spread out, the chance that the both update processes will collide is extremely small. But for sure, for cleanliness, we should probably add like a lock of sorts. Label please boot, not found on issue 1. That is correct, but also okay. I'm beginning to wonder and think if we should maybe split up these steps into individual steps so that we can actually pin it down to which step actually fails. So one reason why I didn't do this is because I didn't know if there is a replacement for Travis terminate, so to say, in GitHub Actions. Like, can I fail the whole run from an individual step? So maybe it's time to actually figure this out. Travis terminate in GitHub Actions. Any way to exit current stage and jump to next? Yeah. Let's see if that person wrote about it. Oh, wow. Did you see that? That is nice. In the URL. You can depend on steps. Nice. Yeah, I think that would actually help us. GitHub Actions depend on other action. Depend on another workflow, depend on actions from another thing. No, on just other steps, right? So what is the keyword that I need for this? You can define dependencies on other jobs with the needs keyword. Okay, but can I do this in individual steps? Searching, thank you. Okay, you can declare outputs, you can have needs, but that is on the job level as well. Yes, you can. Okay, how? Dot steps. Steps if, steps ID, steps name, uses. No, that's different. Run. Whew. With, okay. With args, with entry point, env. Continue an error. Prevents a job from failing when a step fails. Ah, okay, interesting. Strategy, well, so what is the steps keyword then? I don't see it here. Sharing steps between jobs. Maybe they talk about how to refactor this. You want to ignore a fail step? No. What I want to do is essentially, so I have these different steps, right? So I have a step here that does the gofund, and then I currently have one large step that does the test boot. Currently I have it as one large step so that if any of these individual commands in the run command fails, the entire thing fails. I want to keep this behavior. So currently what it does, if I interpret the output correctly, is, for example here, if the test boot fails, right, it has the X. It still has like the post-checkout code stuff here, and the complete job, and I wanted to just abort entirely here programmatically from my action upon a certain condition. So for example, the gokrazy merge here, if that terminates with an exit code of 0, I want to abort the entire job, right? So GitHub action abort job from step. That is sort of what I want to do. How to perform early clean exit of a job. Yeah. Will indeed terminate the job, but will mark it as failed. Okay, sure. Oh, look. Steps.cache commit. Okay, so this is using the cache to conditionalize things. Interesting. Okay. Huh. No reply. Having an action stop gracefully when a condition... Maybe. I think the post thing is some special step that gets executed every time. Oh, okay. Should not xcode terminate the job / step by default. Yeah, I don't know for sure. I mean, we can try it, and the action will just fail. Okay, so let's pull these apart. The part here. This is boot, so this will be the merge. Okay. Okay, so this would be test boot. This would be merge if boot successful. And then we have amend pull request with the updated firmware. Oh yeah, and that is actually okay. Okay, I think we were missing this. So I think these steps need to be in here as well. So the first step should be I don't think we need all of the secrets here, but we're gonna leave them in here anyway. And then I think this is also no longer redundant actually. Yeah, because it's in an entirely different step now. Okay, so the first step is it installs the Eeprom update. This should pull in the new files. It should amend the pull request, set the please boot label, and then on the next iteration that test boot here will actually start and work. Though I think, yeah, so this all should be skipped. So that is the reason why, yeah. So let's see, the test boot. I think I think we looked this up. The boot.go in 185, yeah, it will exit with 0 if there's nothing to do. So the test boot is good to run first. Because in the first iteration, this will just be an exit 0 and this will succeed. And then we'll go here and it will amend the pull request. And then this merge, if the boot is successful, will exit with exit code 2, which we ignore and say true effectively, which will succeed this action as well. And then the next, so this will then succeed. And then the next iteration of it will have the amended pull request, which will run into the boot case. And then, so this is the point now, I think, where we need to do another change because the gokrazy boot is followed, only by a terminate if it fails. So never mind, that should be okay. So yeah, let's get to the shot. Fix logic for pull request CI. Actually, this time we're smart. We're gonna look at the white space. Yeah. Looks correct to me, I think. Actually, there's an extra line. just amend that. Yeah, seems fine to me. All right, rebase onto master, push upstream, back to master. All right, thanks for the help in the chat. Let's double check what's happening here. Could probably also like zoom out just a tiny bit if that helps. Okay, so now we have these separate steps here, right? Checkout Go code is not ours, but then the test boot, amend pull request, and merge if boot successful, these are ours. I quite like the UI here, like compared to the Travis UI. I think that the Travis UI is more expanded by default, which, you know, on the one hand is nice for like searching through all of this more easily, but on the other hand, you'll need to fully expand it anyway because the stuff that you're looking for is always the one log excerpt that is actually folded in. And this one is easier to browse like visually, like it's nicer on the eye. Okay, so right. So the amend, sorry, let me show you like this. Yeah, so the amend is like the third tool here, which we haven't updated. So we're going to do this as well. But we know what to do. And then here, I think we see what you all were talking about, right? This step was skipped, right? And it is skipped because this one failed. So thank you, yeah, that was correct. Is there any way to test it locally first before pushing the commit? In general, that is what I prefer to do. In this particular case, because it's using GitHub as sort of an integral part of what it's doing, I don't think it's possible, right? We would need to have like a local GitHub test instance. I mean, certainly we could probably invest a little bit of effort and sort of simulate all of the steps, but then we need to set like all of these environment variables exactly like GitHub does them, etc. And there is a potential for us to introduce errors there as well. So I think bottom line is actually easier to do it like we're currently doing it. There's a GitHub action run as a separate component. Yeah, that doesn't really help us because we're not so much interested in the runner part itself, but rather in what does the runner then actually do, right? Because remember, we have already this pull request, which is entirely machine generated by our automation. We are trying to get a label applied to this pull request. We are trying to get that then to trigger a CI boot and then apply another label and then merge the pull request, right? None of this we can do locally with just the local runner, right? We would need like the full GitHub. So that's why it doesn't help. Okay, auto update command, search for nectos/act. Okay, I'm gonna do that while we wait for the next time. Amend is the tool we're looking for. And it should be as simple as also just switching this to our CINF package that we introduced earlier on the stream. All right, branch CINF. I think that was the, yep, get pull request branch. The repo slug is the must get slug. CINF must get slug. And then we have the GitHub user. Oh, actually, we should probably just copy this block from here and then match them down there. So slug already set, branch is going to be Travis pull request branch. It's going to be Travis pull request without the branch. Then GitHub user auth token. This can go. Cool. Why don't we also do another search to see if there's any other tool that we'll need to update? So we have the boot. Gonna parse Travis pull request. Yeah, that is just in the message. And then we only have the pull kernel and the pull firmware, but those are running on Travis for real for the time being. So these are okay. So I think at this point, gokrazy amend switch to CIN2. At this point, we should have all of the auto update tools done. So sorry for not catching this earlier. That's how it is. So now we can just rerun this. All right, nectos/act. Run your GitHub actions locally. Yeah, but as I mentioned, this is only a part of the puzzle, right? even if we could run this job locally, it would still need to interact with GitHub remotely. So don't think it helps much. All right. Okay, let's see what's happening here now. Will it be able to amend the pull request? This looks cut off, right? So this literal here hasn't even finished. So I'm thinking this might be the reason why we didn't see the log message earlier in the UI when we're debugging the other job. So I bet that if I use view raw logs here and then search for amend.go, exactly, right? So we actually have a couple of log lines here that are invisible in the UI. I think I'm going to report this as a bug to GitHub because this is really, really misleading behavior. Like, they should totally be visible in here. And in here, like, if you look, it ends at the size 1575. 1575. So yeah, I think this is like, because we have such long log messages, right? So it cuts them off up until here. This is what we see. And then the rest we don't see entirely, including the other lines that tell us about the error. So that's very unfortunate. They removed the important part, indeed. I don't think it is intentional, so hopefully they'll be happy about the report and fix it. Cool. So now let's see. We don't have any .elf files. So this is now because we're so this is the infrastructure was being run for the firmware previously. Excuse me. And for the firmware, you have bin, elf, and dat files. For the Eeprom, the only file type that we have is bin. All of them are bin. So that's why it complains, because it can't find any of the other files. The other globs don't resolve. Only element start.bin for Eeprom. Okay. All right, rebase onto master. Cool. So hopefully after this iteration, what we will see is the pull request should be updated. Currently, it only changes this ref here, but after the next iteration, hopefully it will also actually update all of the .bin files to match that ref that it is suggesting to be updated to. All right. So this is the Eeprom fetching. Then here's the amend. It says new commit, so looks good, actually. Oh, nice. So we can see that it added the please boot label now. I think for consistency, we're going to want to change the label color to match the firmware label colors. But we can do that in a sec. So yeah, now we see the Eeprom file is actually being updated. GitHub doesn't show a diff for binary files, but that's okay. We can see that the file size has changed. And here the recovery.bin has probably been modified, but it has the same size, which is usual for these sort of firmware files. They often have like a predetermined size, and then you just change its contents within that size. Cool. So let's see. The next iteration is running here. So let's see what that does. Yeah, the expectation would be that this now actually talks to the CI. And based on the new Eeprom files, it should actually generate a new image and then update that. I think there might still be a couple of steps left that we need to do afterwards, but if we get this done, then we have certainly achieved like the bulk part of the CI setup. So that would be quite a success for today. Nice. Yeah, so it did something. It was almost there. Let's scroll down. So yeah, you can see that here it is now running the gokrazy packer. So it's saying writing the boot file system and writing the master boot record. And then it sends that over to the bakery, and then it gets unexpected HTTP status code, got 404.1.200. This for sure is just like another issue that we have here, but now I'm a little bit confused. I think this issue might be with the secret actually, but I thought I just copy and pasted that URL, so I'm a bit surprised that it would be wrong. But yeah, maybe it is. I think I need to update this in like a separate browser tab. Let me just do that real quick. And do let me know if you have questions in the meantime. Settings, secrets. Huh. Yeah, I mean, I can just plug this URL in there again, just to be sure that I didn't do anything wrong. But if that doesn't help, yeah, well, we'll cross that bridge when we come there. Just rerun it, see if that works. Cool. How do you know about this stuff, firmware, Lolo stuff, etc.? Yeah, I don't know really how to answer this. The firmware stuff, I mean, yeah, once you've done a little bit of microcontroller programming, firmware is not going to be a weird term for you anymore. Yeah, there's not much to it, right? It's just a bit of code. It's very similar to an executable program, you know, which, for example, Go compiles to. So yeah, obviously it's lower level. Yeah, for low level stuff, you really need to do it. There's no other way, right? You need to practice. It helps if you have strong motivation. So a lot of stuff that I've done in microcontrollers is the Kinesis firmware stuff. So there obviously I had a strong motivation to get the bug fix that was plaguing me with the stuck modifier key. So, you know, spending a couple of weeks digging into that stuff was worth it. Okay, no, it still says 404, so that is surprising to me. Why would we get a 404? Okay. A lot of stuff I've been working on in building API, but looking at this stuff makes me interested. Yeah, I'm glad to hear. Yeah, there's certainly a lot of interesting stuff everywhere in all of the layers. It makes sense to yeah, look outside your regular domain. So this I think we should have seen. Oh no, that's fine. Yeah. So I'm a bit hesitant in printing the URL because it contains the secret. And like the secrets will be replaced by GitHub actions in the log output, but they also say that you shouldn't explicitly log them. I don't know for sure if that's just defense in depth, or if you intentionally log them, they might leak into somewhere, like the raw logs or something. I don't know. One thing that I can do though is I could check, like, yeah, let's do this. Okay, so I just started a TCP dump in my other window. I'm just gonna like, so on the CI server. So I'm just gonna rerun this, see what the TCP dump will capture. So that way I can see the HTTP request and all of the raw details and no log filtering is going on. And I'm not gonna leak anything accidentally. So yeah, hopefully that'll do it. All right. Things have actually happened though. This doesn't look very clear text to me, so. Oh, I think I might have captured the full firmware files too accidentally, of course, because they would be uploaded. Whereas I only wanted like the start of the request. Let me see if I can scroll up. Yeah. Cool. Okay. So. Interesting. This looks correct to me. I'm gonna together with you browse that code real quick, so maybe we can figure out together what is wrong. So it's talking to what's called the boot tree, which is listening on port 8037, and it has an HTTP handler which test boot, yeah, test boot handler. That is the one. And it apparently, oh yeah, I think this is what we're running into. Okay, so let's do two things here. So first of all, we're gonna make this a little bit more easy to figure out for our future selves, right? So because currently what we've seen in the error message is, if I go here again, not this output, but that output, scroll to the very bottom. Yeah. So the only thing it says is unexpected HTTP status code got 404.1.200. That is technically correct, but it doesn't actually give us the error message that the server gave us. So we're going to jump into the test boot here. We're going to say, this is where the error message comes from. This is where we check the status code. And we're going to do a best effort ioutil.readall rest.body. And we're going to say got %d %s. I'm going to put strings.trim space string b. So that we get all of the body, which means in this case the error message. And then we're going to say amend, no wait, boot actually. Include HTTP error message in error. Okay. We don't actually need to wait for this because I do know what the error is that we had here, which is that in the configuration for the boot tree, we will need to add the slug, so something like gokrazy /rpi-eprom, and we need to associate it with one of the Raspberry Pis. In this case, only the Raspberry Pi 4, because the others don't use Eeprom at all. So let me do this real quick in the bootery bakeries.json. Yeah, I have a list of slugs. Yeah, and it only contains the kernel and firmware. So I'm just going to add the Eeprom one that we added as well. Give me just a sec for this. I apologize that you can't see anything here. Okay, slugs, pi4, and I'm adding gokrazy / rpi-eeprom. Okay. Okay, updated the config. I'm gonna restart the CI server here. Restart. It should say loaded these from file, and in the slug it should confirm. Yeah, now it has the rpi-eeprom. Cool. So now if we go back here, we trigger this one more time. Maybe it works this time. So as you can see, there's a lot of moving parts here. We need to get like the repository set up, permission set up, GitHub action set up, the CI side set up, debug all of these actions. Yeah, it is a lot of plumbing to set up continuous integration like that. Any sort of automation that you have. Like if you've ever worked in automation, this will not be news to you. Yeah, the reason why it takes much longer now to build than before is because we are now in the part where, previously we were failing early, and now we're actually building the gokrazy image, right? So that also takes its time to fetch the packages for that and then to actually construct the file system. But hey, now this actually looks better, right? It's not immediately complaining. And I assume that soon it will actually continue and mark this as a success. As soon as the Raspberry Pi 4 has rebooted on my packboard. Nice. So stuff's happening. Merge if boot successful. This should run now. Oh wow! Look, this is exciting. You see this? So now it merged, and we have the boot log here. So the boot log, it contains the Raspberry Pi 4B here, and if we look for success, we can find it. If we look for the boot timestamp, we can see this is the image that we have just now built on Travis. So now this means that our automation is successfully working. Yeah, yes, it works now. Yeah, very nice. So there was one cosmetic thing that we wanted to adjust, which was, let me remove all of this in here. Actually, click back to this. Yeah. So we have a couple of different shades of colors for the labels. This is just like dotting the I's and crossing the T's at this point. But I like to have a consistent. Please boot has this color. Cool. Gonna add the label here too. Labels. Please boot. Edit. Color. Save. Please merge. There's quota on GitHub action minutes. Make sure to check settings, billings from time to time. Oh yeah, thanks. I don't think I should get anywhere close to the paid quota. Should be squarely within the free. But yeah, it's good to keep an eye on this. Okay, if we now pull this up, yeah, we can see the label colors that I'm used to. Nice. Yeah, and if we now look at the code, yeah, so we can see the commit that the gokrazy bot added here. If we look at the auto update, we can see it updated the ref, it updated the files. So now this is actually fully set up, right? So if the Raspberry Pi Eeprom is going to do a new release tomorrow, we're going to get this. Is this free and open source? If so, it's free. Yes, this is entirely open source. So yeah, hopefully this should be free for us. Cool. Yeah, I like the look of this, right? All these green check marks gives a good feeling. Very cool, very cool. Do you have any questions so far? Auto update, commits, that's okay, that's okay. Here, yeah, we still have the skip updates. So I'm gonna make this a little bit more finely granular for just one reason only. Setup Github actions CI to pull in new Eeprom versions. Packer, ensure file names match the updater pattern. Yeah, it's free for all public repos, cool. Okay, so now, the thing we can now do, add the check mark. Nice, so satisfying. Right, so yeah, we've been at it for a little over 2 hours. I think we're gonna take this achievement and milestone here, and we're gonna call it a day for this. The GitHub Actions CI setup was certainly the most involved part of this. But now we have it all running, so that's great. The next step is to ensure that the file names are correct, and then to skip the updates when the Eeprom is actually up to date, so that we save a couple of write cycles onto the Eeprom, which is always nice. I'm not sure if I'm going to do the next bit on stream too. We'll see how it goes. Maybe I'm just going to finish this up quietly off stream. Yeah, thanks everyone for the help in the chat. It was fun hanging out with you and doing this here. Hopefully you've learned a little bit as well. If you have any questions, now is a good time to ask them. Otherwise, I'm going to call it in just a couple minutes. If you have any other suggestions, what we should be doing in one of the next streams maybe, please let me know, either here in the chat if you can think of it right away, or on Twitter or via email. I'm receptive for all ideas. Thank you for streaming. Yeah, you're welcome. Glad you were here. Thanks for the great stream. Yeah, I'm glad you liked it. Be sure to subscribe. Can you point me to some intro to gokrazy? For sure. So a good start is the website, I think. There is a quick start here where, this walks you through how to actually use it. It is very easy to use it, right? If you have a Raspberry Pi lying around, you can, if you have any Raspberry Pi 3, 3B, or 4, and you have a spare SD card, please just give it a try. You can see it's literally just a couple of commands. If you already have Go installed, it is so easy to get set up. Seeing is believing. It's easy to do this. If not, you can also check out some of my talks. I have a talk section on my website where I have talks about a keyboard controller, Go, but also gokrazy. So I have presented about gokrazy a couple of times. There are YouTube videos for all of these. For some of them, there's an abstract and a slide deck as well, if you're more a slide person. But yeah, there's a lot of material you can find here. And if you have any questions, please just reach out. I'm happy to chat about it. All right, so if there's no other questions, I think we're going to call it a day. Thanks again. I'll see you on the next stream. Thanks. Bye.